What's going on? Welcome to my first ever video that I am posting on this channel. All I can say is let's see where this takes us. Currently at the dentist getting a tooth filled because they messed it up the first time. Exciting stuff, right? Anyways, so basically this channel is really at the core going to be about students and just balancing a school schedule with angling and just getting the best bang for your buck, whether it be actual money, time, whatever, when it comes to fishing, as well as getting an education. So I'm gonna catch you right after this, and we'll see what the day holds. And we're back. So that went great. Have to come back in 2 to 3 weeks. So just always fun times at the dentist, right? Anyways, now it's time to hit the water. Obviously it's pretty nice. Yeah, no, we're not doing that today. But we're gonna head home, and I got something pretty cool in store. And boom, just like that, we're back to place. So, what am I gonna be going over today? Well, I won't leave you guessing. Here it is, the Shimano SLX. Shimano's newest reel to their line of budget reels, which they have been doing a pretty good job of coming out with some really high quality stuff. There was the Canaan is how it's pronounced actually, and they're really trying to just replace that with this this new reel here, which is around the same price point. And well, I'll give you my opinions later. So basically what I'm going to go over is one, we're going to go over the stats and the specs of this reel, then we're going to go over some of my opinions, and then just what some other people have said. And yeah, we'll just have some fun with this. So let's get after it. First and foremost, we got the laptop here. We got a few reviews. We got a few stats up on the screen. We're gonna go over it real quick, and just keeps me a little bit more organized. So let's get it. So number one, this is the biggest factor reel that a lot of people have really been into and just really have been excited about. It is 20% smaller than the Shimano Canaan. You might be wondering, how is this possible? The Shimano Canaan was already tiny. Well, if you just take a look at that, I mean, this is my hand, and I don't have the biggest hands. This thing is tiny. It fits right in there. It's an amazingly compact reel, and they did a really good job with that. Number two, we have Shimano's new, or fairly new, VBS brake system, and you'll see that right here if you take this side cover off, if I can get it off. Right there, you got the new VBS braking system, which is similar to the EBS that you'll see on older reels like the Corrado E series, the Scorpions. But instead of popping out like these or those, this reel actually has little tabs that you flip up, which personally I think is a little bit easier. It's a little bit easier to get your hands in there, pop them up real quick, especially if you have shorter fingernails like me. And it's super convenient. They did a really good job of keeping it ergonomical, keeping it compact and just easy to use. The side plate, as you can see, is attached, so there's not going to be any more of that popping off and falling into the water like there definitely has been some problems with in the past. And you're seeing that on a lot of their reels now, so that's just a really good feature, which I really enjoy. Secondly, we have the Hagen body, which is a term that not many people are familiar with. It really just means that they combine two materials. So they combined carbon fiber, which is what the side plates are, and then they also have an aluminum frame, just for that extra strength. Say if you want to flip with this reel, which I definitely could see that being a possibility, you can still do it, and you don't have to be worried of any torquing of the body or anything like that. And with the graphite side plates, there's really no need to go any heavier with any heavy duty materials, because for instance, this one, it's literally just a cover. You're not going to have any strain on that you would with the actual body itself when you're setting the hook into a fish or something like that. So that's that. Another huge benefit to this reel is the multitude of options that you have with it. First and foremost, you get left hand and right hand retrieve in every gear ratio, which is just a huge thing that you don't see a ton of companies doing, which just gives you like that added benefit of how many different applications you can use this reel for, how many different techniques. It's such a benefit, and I'd like to see more reel companies doing that. I know Shimano does it on a lot of their newer reels, whereas you have Daiwa, who kind of is more specific with each reel type, which is fine if you want to spend the money. But if you want to get a high quality budget reel and you just want to get as many as you can in the boat, then that's what's great about this Shimano SLX. Next, we have bearings. So a downside to this reel that a lot of people have is the fact that it only has 4 ball bearings, or 4 bearings in general. It has 3 ball bearings and then 1 roller bearing. I know a lot of people are all about bearings. They want 11 bearings, they want 10 bearings in the reel, but really when it comes down to it, that's honestly overkill. 5 bearings is about as many as you're going to optimally need, and you might be thinking, well, that still doesn't make any sense because this only has 4. Where they would have added the last bearing in is here on the spool, and that's where you'll see a lot of reel companies add in that that 5th bearing. It's right here on the spool, just to make that spool spin a little freely. But let me tell you, with this reel, once you use it, once you get it in your hands, you'll realize that Shimano did a good thing with not putting that in. With these lower budget reels, it's hard to make them light and cheap at the same time, and by not adding in that last bearing, it really helps it stay lighter and not add any extra weight. So I think that was a good move on their part, and still unbelievably smooth and just a great overall budget reel. It's a quiet reel. It's kind of got that high pitch sound that a lot of the more expensive Shimanos do, just with their high gear ratios, and it's just a super smooth reel even with the lack of bearings. So I honestly, in my opinion, that was a good move with Shimano to not have to force themselves to add in an unnecessary weight and even boost up the price by keeping that bearing out. So on to the next stat. So looking online and using this for myself, there's been a few things that stand out to me that a lot of people are into. So first of all, the price. I mean, that's the reason people are going to get this reel, besides maybe the looks, but you shouldn't ever get something just because of the looks. Trust me, that goes for life in general. But the price is just phenomenal for what you get. $99, I've seen them for cheaper. You get a fast reel, you get multiple gear ratios, you get a strong reel. I mean, the power handle on this reel, which is another thing people like, is just incredible. It's got a wide handle. You can really torque down on those fish or those deep diving lures, and it's a phenomenal price point that a lot of people are going to pick up this reel because of. Secondly, and this might seem an odd thing to put into a review, but it's replaceable. If this thing breaks, if you have an issue, you're not out $300, $400 like you are with some of the more expensive reels. It's $100. You can have a bunch of these. You have all the different options with the gear ratios, and you're really just always going to have the extra room to throw it around, beat it up, and still not be out or breaking the bank with this reel. Thirdly, this color scheme, in my opinion, is awesome. I mean, where else do you see a reel that has this bold lettering, this bright blue color? I mean, you have Casking and 13 Fishing, which are pushing this, but in Shimano's, you don't see this. A lot of people, some of the old school guys, don't like it. They just want their plain reels, and I get that. I get that you don't want a flashy reel, but for the new anglers, this is so cool. It stands out on the shelf. You're looking around and you see those Shimano SLX, you're like, wow, let me check that out, let me see what's inside. So I think that's a great thing that Shimano's doing. And that kind of ties into what I want to talk on next. With a lot of these older companies, you have Shimano, you have Daiwa, you have Luz, which have a lot of history. They kind of come short when it comes to trying to focus on the young generation of fishermen who might not know what they're doing and need some help choosing a reel, or just don't like the boring aspect of fishing. And what Shimano has done with this SLX is really tried to appeal to the younger audience, which is just great. You have these bright colors, and they're kind of following in the same suit as 13 Fishing, even Casking, with those bright colors, with the Inception Z, new ones that are coming out that have bright green, and they have the bright red, bright blues, and some people will hate it, but I guarantee you, I can almost guarantee you that the younger generation are going to love it. They love something that looks good. They love something they can show their friends. They can be like, hey man, yeah, I picked this up. It was cheap, and look how cool it looks. Look how well it performs. So I think that's just a great aspect. You've got to be appealing to the younger generation. You can't be over here baseballing it, just appealing to the old guys sitting on their couch. You got to go out and focus on those new buyers and those new fishermen that are trying to get into the sport. So I want to go over now a few things people don't like and a few things that this reel has kind of fallen short on. So number one is the line pawl and the line guide, which, as you can see if you're not familiar, are here and here. So with that, the line guide, or not the line guide, but the worm gear on the inside is actually plastic, and I'm not a huge fan of that. On top of that, the pawl gear is actually metal. And if you know anything about mechanics and materials, you know that metal on plastic doesn't usually end well. It's usually can ruin a piece of equipment if you're not careful. So with Shimano, I really think it would have been a good idea to either go metal on metal or even plastic on plastic, just to reduce that wear and tear. But we'll see how it turns up or goes in the long run. This is not an old reel. It came out I think last year, and it just is going to take a little bit for people to see if that works. Maybe Shimano hit it on the head, but for me personally, I would have liked to see, even if they had to boost up the weight a little bit, to put a metal worm gear on there just so we could have a little more durability, hopefully. Another thing, and I touched on this earlier, is the spool capacity. It doesn't hold a lot of line. If you're going to be bombing a frog out there, bombing a crankbait, it's not going to have the line capacity that a lot of guys want. And that's not an issue for me. I flip a lot. I do a lot of short casts. But for guys that are bombing swim baits, bombing crankbaits, bombing those big frogs, it's kind of nice to have the line capacity. A way to counter this, however, is if you put braid on here, you can have 50-pound braid. You can have almost 100 yards of 50-pound braid on here, and that's more than enough. You just put a leader on there if you need it, or just go straight braid, and you're going to be totally fine with this reel with the line capacity. Another thing some guys have kind of said that they're not a big fan of, or just wish it was different, or they went back to it, is the if you know anything about Shimano, you know they're a big friend of their centrifugal braking system. But in the past, they had the EBS braking system, which was a little more set and forget. You set it once and you're good for the rest of the day, no matter what kind of lures you tie on there or whatnot. With this, it's kind of more hands-on. You got to know what you're doing. You got to know what lure you're casting. You got to know which setting to put it on. It just takes a little more practice, but for me personally, I'm always messing with my reel anyway, so not a huge deal to me. Personally, I usually put 3 on and 3 off, just as you see right there. You have on being the ones that are down, and off right here. That's just a big benefit, in my opinion, to casting. You don't have to worry about it as much. And remember, the brakes are not your best friend. They're gonna help out, but in reality, it's your thumb that controls that spool and prevents backlashes. So, what's my opinion? I think I've laid it out pretty well. I think this is an outstanding reel for the price. It's got those nice colors, it's compact, it's got enough line for me, and it looks like Shimano's really trying to appeal to the younger generation, like 13 Fishing and Casking. Like I said, I love the compact size. I love how nice this fits in the palm of your hand, and for the price, how light it is. It's a clean looking reel. It's sleek. It's got a great design, and it's got so many different options. It's got that high gear ratio, which is the 8:2-to-1, which is what I have here. And use this for flipping, for dragging a worm, just so I can catch up if the fish runs with it. But then you got your 7:2-to-1, you got your 6:1, 6:3-to-1. That they really hit the nail on the head by having so many different selections, and they can do that because of the price. It doesn't take tons of money to make, and they can just make tons of different options, which is just a huge benefit to this. I'm going to use this reel for, like I said, worm fishing, some finesse jig, anything I can throw finesse that I can use a bait caster with, I'm going to use this reel for. I love that fast retrieve. That just helps me catch up to the bait, helps me make tons of casts. More casts make more fish you catch, right? But yeah, I think that's what I'm going to use for. In fact, I know I already caught a few fish on it. And real quick, I'll show you the rod I'm pairing it up with. So here we have the 13 Fishing Omen Black. This is a $100 reel. I got this for a lot cheaper because it's the last generation. It's not the newest model, but this is a light reel or a light rod, just like a bunch of 13 Fishing products. And as you can see, when you put this reel on this rod, it just it disappears. It fits in your hand perfectly. The balance point is all but perfect. I mean, let me get it there. I mean, that's what you want right there. The tip action's great. It's just great for what I want to do with this reel and rod. And yeah, I'm looking forward to catching more fish this spring. Finally, would I recommend it? Of course. It's great. It's got that low price point. It's got those options. It's got the appeal to the younger audience. It's replaceable. You can have a bunch of these on your boat or in your hand when you're cruising along the bank. It's an awesome reel for what it is, and I really think Shimano hit it on the head here. So, thanks for tuning in to my first video on the channel. I know it's a review, kind of boring, but I can't do much fishing-wise right now, and I thought now is the best time as ever to start up a channel and start up this journey with you guys. So yeah, thanks for watching. Fish hard, and the theme of this channel is going to be learn even more. I'll see you later.